Bitcoin prices just reached a fresh all-time high today. It's quite straightforward. We only have 61 days to go until the president's working group on digital asset markets will hopefully share their take on cryptos. What could happen? Maybe they're going to allow tokenization, start of that. Definitely, and maybe coming up with an idea of a cryptocurrency reserve. But more importantly, deregulation, effectively just making it easier for US businesses to thrive. And it's been super clear. He wants to make the USA the country for crypto. So, from a trading perspective, this news is driving things, and we're probably going to have more coming up about this in the next couple of weeks. The issue is it could easily be like the halving. So the halving kicked off this very nice push back in 2023, 2024. But by the time the halving happened, the market peaked. And it wouldn't surprise me one single bit if the same would happen today. So with that in mind, what can we do? How can we trade it? Firstly, let's take a look at how high we can go. I've shown you this chart before, and I think it makes a lot of sense to show it to you again. Okay, so this is Bitcoin adjusted for inflation. Now, if you look at this, you're looking at a gigantic cap and handle. It could also be interpreted like some sort of inverse head and shoulders. And the way works is that we just measure from the low up to the neckline, and then we have that breakout here. And we just reached a new all-time high, and this pattern says we can go up to this level here, 424. Now, if we measure from today's level, then we can add another 21% or so. So when we now go back to Bitcoin prices and then add 21% from today's levels, then you're looking at maybe something like 135. So 135, something like that. That could be a reasonable target. Now, I looked at other prices and they all suggest maybe 139. So we're roughly looking at this. The actual level doesn't really matter too much per se. It's more the fact that we can actually reach these levels. So from that point of view, I definitely want to be bullish. In fact, I'm long on the breakout. And there are different ways of dealing with this, but I would argue, at least in the very short term, as long as trade above 106, that the trend is going to be bullish. So if you're looking at it from that perspective, for example, in my case, I'm long from the breakout point and I have stop losses below. So I'm risking 2.37%. Right now, I have a 1.2% risk reward ratio profit. And if we reach 120, which is just an arbitrary level, then we're looking at a 5.52 times risk reward ratio. And if we would go all the way up towards the highs, you're looking at even better risk reward ratio. You're looking here at 10x. But guys and girls, this is not what's interesting necessarily. Although I'm long here, what you want to do is you want to keep an eye on other things like AvaX, other markets that we have discussed before, because a lot of these altcoins will at one point start to push to the upside. So you definitely want to go through all of them, looking for patterns, looking for setups, because I think this is where you're going to have most of the juice. There's going to come an altcoin season at one point, and if we would take something like Avalanche, I'm not saying we're going to go up to the all high, but if we go maybe up something like this, that's 63%. So suddenly your risk to reward ratios, they become much, much better. Although again, the Bitcoin risk reward ratio I just showed you is fantastic if we hit those 10x. But I suspect that majority of my money will be made in other things. So keep a close eye on crypto. If price would pull back, again, you have 106. Technically, as long as trade above Monday's high, nothing should really affect long term. Sometimes we can spike down, maybe 105. But again, as long as trade above this low here, this whole structure remains in play.